"I know that there was a lot of pressure to speak sooner," Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook told The Times, "but my assessment was that it was more important that what we said was fully accurate." Jim Wilson, The New York Times, "Want to get this briefing by email? Here's the sign up. Good morning. Here's what you need to know. Facebook's trust issue." Mark Zuckerberg, the social media giant's chief executive, publicly addressed the crisis facing his company, 5 days after reports about the misuse of data from 50 million of its users. "We also made mistakes. There's more to do, and we need to step up and do it," he wrote in a statement outlining the steps Facebook would take to better protect users' information. He also spoke to The Times about his plans for change. Given that the gathering of user data is fundamental to the company's operations, lawmakers and researchers were unimpressed by Mr. Zuckerberg's mea culpa. He avoided the big issue, which is that for many years, Facebook was basically giving away user data like it was handing out candy. A Columbia University researcher said, "Disillusioned Facebook users have been leaving the service. Want to delete your account? You can try." Tracking the Austin suspect, a pair of pink construction gloves led to Mark Anthony Condit, who the police say was responsible for a string of bombings in the Texas capital. On Wednesday, Mr. Condit, a 23-year-old from the Austin suburbs with no criminal record, detonated one of his homemade devices and killed himself before he could be apprehended. Here's what we know about him. The authorities are now trying to determine a motive. They're being helped by a 25-minute confession the suspect left on his phone. The scene in Round Rock, Texas, where a suspected serial bomber killed himself on Wednesday. Jay Janner, Austin American-Statesman, via Associated Press. Trump takes on China. President Trump has said the country is an economic enemy of the U.S. that has taken advantage of us like nobody in history. Today, he plans to announce tariffs on at least $50 billion of annual Chinese imports and to impose other penalties in response to the theft of technology and trade secrets. Previously announced tariffs on steel and aluminum imports, which will also affect China, go into effect on Friday. China's staggering economic growth has indeed been propelled by unfair trade practices, but experts worry that the president's go-it-alone approach undermines the potential for collective action. On Wednesday, Mr. Trump appeared to endorse a $1.3 trillion spending deal reached by Congress. Lawmakers must approve the bill by midnight Friday to avoid a government shutdown. FBI investigated Sessions at the request of Congress. The Bureau investigated Attorney General Jeff Sessions for possible perjury last year, after he inaccurately said that he had no contacts with Russians during the presidential campaign, according to 3 people familiar with the case. Andrew McCabe, the FBI's deputy director at the time, was said to have authorized the inquiry. McCabe was recently fired by Mr. Sessions for showing lack of candor in an internal investigation. Separately, John Brennan, a former CIA director and appointed critic of President Trump, said that he thought Russia may have compromising information on the president. He later said that his opinion wasn't based on inside knowledge. The Daily 5 days after details about Cambridge Analytica were made public, Mark Zuckerberg, the chief executive of Facebook, spoke with The New York Times along Broadway in Manhattan on Wednesday. The Northeast was hit by the 4th major snowstorm this month. If you're in the New York City area today, check here before heading out. Ramsey DeGive for The New York Times Business. Can the Federal Reserve engineer the best economy since the 1960s? Its new chairman, Jerome Powell, is going to try. The central bank raised interest rates on Wednesday and said it expected to do so twice more this year. Time magazine, Sports Illustrated, Fortune and Money are up for sale. The April 17th deadline for filing taxes is fast approaching, and many virtual currency traders are sweating over their returns. U.S. stocks were down on Wednesday. Here's a snapshot of global markets today. Smarter living tips, both new and old, for a more fulfilling life. Here's how to protect your Facebook data. Thinking of going to Brazil? You'll need this vaccination. Recipe of the day: brighten up the usual salmon dinner with a sauce of capers, scallions, parsley and garlic. What we're reading, or journalists recommend these great pieces each year. NPR scours the South by Southwest Music Festival to find the best up-and-coming acts. Spotters were early fans of Adele and Kendrick Lamar, among others. Here's the latest 100-song playlist. The Times' chief pop music critic was also there and shared 17 acts that stood out. Jennifer Jett, senior staff editor: you may have paid for a DNA test to learn about your genetic origins. Why not do that for your dog? With good humor, Kelly Connerboy walks you through her testing of her rescue dog, Peter. There's a reveal at the end. The outline, Michael Roston, Senior Staff Editor, Science Noteworthy. Where do birds flock together? Australians are mailing feathers to help find out. A scientist asked people to send her fallen feathers, like the ones shown below, so that she could map bird movements as the country's wetlands disappear. David Maurice Smith for the New York Times. In praise of Grandma Fen, we introduced the Overlook Project 2 weeks ago. We asked readers to suggest people